This figure is an example of a tree of life. There are a lot of trees of life. This one is the one we use in Thelema. I'm a Thelemite, so we will not be talking about Jewish Qabalah or Christian Qabalah. We'll be talking about Hermetic Qabalah with a deeply Thelemic slant. And this is going to be problematic for us because I think that Twin Peaks is theosophical, not Thelemic. But I'm not a theosophist. I don't understand a lot of the theosophy stuff. If a theosophist wants to do this, they can. Maybe they'll do a better job than I will. But I still think that this is going to be valuable because I haven't looked around a little bit and I haven't seen very much on the Qabalah of Twin Peaks. And so if you are not a person who does magic, then I think understanding a little bit about Qabalah and how the concepts relate to the characters and the things that happen to our protagonist and so forth in Twin Peaks is going to have a lot of explanatory force. So you'll just have to take the good with the bad as we go over this. So the Tree of Life, these 10 circles, the Sephiroth, spheres, singularly it's a Sephirot, are emanations of the divine. They are, and the 10 of them together make up all of the substance of creation. Everything that exists is emanates from the divine, and these 10 Sephiroth are those emanations. Up here we have the supernal triad, and let's think of this for starters. We'll get to metaphysics in a moment, but for starters, because it's easiest to understand, let's think of it on the level of epistemology. So the supernal triad is the self beyond self. My brother said to me when he was starting out meditating that when you have an idea that's on the tip of your tongue, maybe the name of an actor in a movie that you like, but you can't quite remember the name. You know it, but you just can't think of it right now. Or maybe there's a problem you're trying to solve and you're going to get there, but you just haven't quite come up with it yet. The experience is that of waiting for an answer. Like you're on the phone waiting on hold for someone to tell you. And then, the name will leap to mind or the solution will come up and you'll be like, oh, right, of course. And so, experientially, you have this phenomenological experience of something in yourself, a memory you have that you can't grasp. Something about self that is beyond self. And so these 3 circles, especially Binah, are epistemologically representative of that principle. So consciousness of the divine, or not consciousness, in interaction with the divine, aspiration toward the divine, or also inspiration in the case of problem solving. There's this super consciousness that drives us forward, and it's beyond anything we can articulate or even think about. Down here, these 6 Sephiroth, these are the self that we understand as the self. These are the conscious aspirations, or the conscious manifestations of that one true aspiration. They're also all the ideas about self, our beliefs, our name, our relationship to other people, our families, our social groups, our politics, all of that. There's something here to address all of that. The foundation, the splendor, the victory, the beauty, the severity, the mercy. These are the emanations of God that we experience on the level of our consciousness. For the sake of the people who know a bit of this already, of course, this is Neshama, this is Ruach, and then down here Yesod does double duty as both Ruach and Nefesh. This is the animal soul, including our instincts, our autonomic processes, breathing, heart beating, fight or flight, and then also our hunger, also our physical body. And this can include intuitions that are trained, so you can develop intuitions up here and then send them down here to come up later. Like if you're studying judo or something, you learn the mechanics of a technique, and then hopefully by the time you're in a fight, it just happens by itself. So this is the Sephiroth about which we are principally concerned in a lot of Twin Peaks, but especially in episode 8 of The Return. And we're starting there because it's the earliest thing that happens in the chronology of the universe. So it's easiest to think about if we start with episode 8 of The Return, then go to what's the movie called? Fire Walk with Me, and then go through the rest of the episodes in the order in which they aired. So Binah, the divine principle, is Elohim Zaboath, and that is, if you like, the God of hosts. So we have all these emanations of the divine, the one God interacting with his creation, and here this God name is plural, Elohim, and that is because this is the God sending his angels, all his warriors, the spirits, all of the manifestations down into creation to be our lived experience. And on the path of return, we start in Malkuth, we go up to Yesod. If we're following a Golden Dawn system or an AA system or any of these initiated magical schools where we study in a formal way magic, meditation, Qabalah, tarot, we follow this path and become aware of God's creation in this prescribed order. And when we get to here, which is the top of our Ruach, you notice there's no connecting path that takes us from the fourth emanation to the third emanation. So just as our experience, there's no work that we can do to remember that Steve Buscemi was the star of Ghost World. We just have to wait for that information. Elohim Zaboath, the Lord God of hosts, sends that information down into the world. Trees, dogs, cats, lovers, the color red, marble statues. But if you're a Thelemic Kabbalist, the most important thing up here in Binah is Babalon. And that's, the mother of harlots who rideth upon the beast, who drinketh from the cup of her fornications. She, of course, there's the blood of the saints in the winepress. The harvest of the earth are these saints, and they get pressed in a winepress, and their blood leaks out into the Holy Grail, and it's given by the angels. It's not stolen. It's given by the angels of God to Babalon, the mother of abominations. And it is her privilege to drink from the Holy Grail, to partake of the harvest of the earth. And the reason for that is that Babalon is just all of creation. She's just like Elohim, the Elohim Zebaoth, the God of hosts, in the Hebraic Qabalah, for the Thelemite, this feminine principle. This woman is the woman who generates our lived experience as people. She's the source of creation. And the reason it has to be Babalon is because the creative principle is a feminine principle, right? She's giving birth to the world. And that's also why she's the mother of harlots, because in order to give birth to everything, you have to receive a lot of sexual partners, because sex precedes birth. So she's eternally virginal, but also infinitely promiscuous, and she receives and births existence in this kind of cyclical fashion. And so when you're on the path of return, you're doing your daily meditating, and you're trying to, hold an image firm in your mind, and then you're trying to hold nothing but the image firm in your mind, and then the image kind of takes on a transcendental quality of being sort of the Platonic form of the image, and then you start to slip until you're gone, and then the image is gone, and you have this experience of being totally embraced by undefinable stuff. Your samadhi experience is only received by releasing your attachment to yourself, your personality, your identity, and you disappear momentarily into, well, the cup of her fornications. You dissolve into the Holy Grail. And so it is our love of the Lady Babalon that pulls us across the abyss. But transversely, it is also her function to send to transmit the things of the divine world into, materialize them into creation. And that is, I think, what we're seeing in episode 8 of Twin Peaks: The Return, when we get our glimpse of the experiment. Here she is, spraying from the mouth all these eggs, and this stuff, dark eggs interspersed with like dark matter, or some kind of vomit, some kind of special fluid she vomits all this stuff into existence, and I think this is the coming out of the darkness, coming out of the darkness of the heavens. She comes down and projects these eggs, these seed ideas, into the universe. So I think it's a pretty good guess that Judy, the extreme negative force, remember, Twin Peaks is not, we're not looking at Thelema, we're looking at Theosophy, and people in other branches of the magical arts don't understand Babalon. They don't understand her as because of sex anxiety, because of fear of female sexuality. Babalon becomes the villain, even though as early as the revelation to St. John the Divine, it is God that gives her it is the angels of God that give her the Holy Grail. It's her privilege to drink the harvest of the earth. That's glossed over for 2,000 years by people who want to make Babalon the villain of the piece. And so that's why you get this horrible gray scale, formless, vaguely feminine beast vomiting creation. Because in the black school, and forgive me, that's the Thelemic term, doesn't mean evil. It means nihilistic. So for Buddhists, the first noble truth is that life is suffering, and that you overcome suffering by escaping existence. So if you're, and for Christians too, the belief that life is a test and that immortality is attained by going to heaven. This means that your life on earth really doesn't matter except as a prelude to eternity. So these things are black school. There's also a yellow school, which is about not overdoing anything and trying to be very middle of the road and passive and receptive, and that's going to be super important in Twin Peaks: The Return too, when we get there organically. But Thelema considers itself being white school because we embrace life and all the experiences of life, and to us existence is pure joy. We acknowledge that life is suffering, but that's seen as an error, and so we can overcome that by taking a correct approach to life rather than by trying not to resolve our karma and not exist anymore. So a lot of the principles that are seen as sacred in Thelema are going to be seen as sort of horrible in Twin Peaks. So the experiment, which is probably Judy, is Babalon, the mother of abominations, and she's seen in also the and she's seen in birthing abominations, including Bob, into the world. A good place to go, if you're a Thelemic Kabbalist, is to the Revelation of St. John the Divine, also to the Holy Books of Thelema, also to the whole Torah, especially the Book of Genesis and the Book of Exodus. But look what we see in the Revelation to John the Divine, episode Chapter 16, verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. So the frog, the eggs come out of the mouth of Babalon, and from the egg hatches the frog, and the frog ends up going into tween Sarah Palmer's mouth. Sarah, I can't remember her maiden name. Sarah's mouth. So that's kind of fun. In Revelation, the 3 frogs are from the mouth of the dragon, from the mouth of the beast, and from the mouth of the false prophet, not from the Lady Babalon. So you might have another interpretation of that, but whenever I see something horrible like that, like a chimera, like a bug with a frog's body, or something of this nature, I always want to go to the Goetia and look at the demons of the Goetia, because there's wonderful illustrations of all the demons, and a lot of them are composite beings like this, but it's almost always fruitless. I never find exactly what I'm seeing in the media. There doesn't seem to be any demon that is kind of a moth with frog's legs and like a bullet nose. But here in the Revelation of John the Divine, I was hoping maybe there would be some army of spirits that were like this, and there isn't. There's just these 3 frogs that come out of the mouth, significantly, of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now, Judy's symbol in Twin Peaks is the white horse. And people always think that makes her death, because she does a lot of murders on the show. And here it is, Revelation 6:8. And I looked and beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him, and power was given unto them over the 4th parts of the earth to kill with a sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. But that's a pale horse, so, white is a very pale color. But let's look up and see what happens a little earlier than this, when the Lamb opens the first seal, 6:1. And I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, and I heard, as if it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts. This is the beasts that guard the throne of Christ, not a devil. This is the cherubim, the lion, the eagle, the man, and the bull. And I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, a noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw and beheld a white horse. Very specifically, not a pale horse. I saw and beheld a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow. Who in Twin Peaks kills with arrows? And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Who else in the Bible wears a crown? Let's see. True and faithful. No, that's not it. Let's look for more horses. Let's see if there's another white horse. There's armies of horsemen and horses with scorpions' tails. But there's one more horse that I'm looking for. Here we are. Not Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said to me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, And of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus, worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And I saw heaven opened, and beheld a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called True and Faithful, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So the horseman that goes forth conquering and to conquer is named True and Faithful, and in righteousness goes forth to judge and make war. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with vestures dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon his white horse, clothed in fine linen white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he shall tread the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So, Judy in Twin Peaks is evil, and her symbol is the white horse, and she has frogs in her mouth, like the dragon and the great beast and the false prophet. But her symbol is the white horse, and it's Jesus is the first of the four horsemen. It's not death that rides on the white horse. Death rides a pale horse. Jesus rides the white horse. And Jesus, more than in just this one place in the Revelation of John the Divine, fights with the sword of his mouth. And you see kind of a licky, tonguey, stiletto, dagger thing coming out of the experiment's mouth when Sarah Palmer kills that dude in the bar quite late in the return, when the experiment first appears in the glass box and takes out those two poor kids just trying to get their business on in the kind of radionics room in New York. Judy attacks with a sword from her mouth, like Jesus, which is sort of worrying me because I don't think that's what I don't know David Lynch personally, but I don't think that's what he's getting at. In Thelema, Jesus is straight up evil, and for Nietzsche too, Jesus is evil, and Christianity is a blight upon the earth. But I don't think the Theosophists go that way, and I don't think David Lynch does either. So this is troubling to me. I'm not sure of its interpretive force. Judy as Babalon is right on, and the idea that what's going on is a sort of apocalypse working, a small scale, not the apocalypse, but a sort of small scale apocalypse working in Twin Peaks is something that I can point at later. But this white horse, the white horse is Jesus, and I don't. It's obviously Jesus in the Revelation. Maybe Lynch just doesn't understand or doesn't remember the Revelation, but that's what's going on in the Revelation, and it's got troubling explanatory power. That's it for this one. We'll see you when I see you.